What's happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Show. I'm your host, as always. I don't even really feel like I should have to do this at this point, but there may be some new people out here. Dallas Clark, also known as Indo is my Nindo, and I, of course, would love to welcome you back to Season 4 of the Huddle Chat Sports Show. Right now, we're in the middle of going through all 32 NFL squads and their NFL drafts of 2023. We're giving a recap, an analysis, and a grade on everyone's draft. After the draft, we're discussing their offseason as an entirety. After the offseason, we're going to be going ahead with our fantasy football huddle and getting into the meat and potatoes. Your favorite part of the year, the fantasy football huddle and fantasy football season. Fantasy football huddle is where we give you the advantage over all of those idiots in your fantasy football league, but we're not even going to start talking about that yet, because today we've already finished the AFC South. We've already finished the NFC South, and we're wrapping up the AFC North. We're talking about the black and yellow, the Steel City, the Pittsburgh Steelers today, and they honestly had a really good draft, and we're going to discuss what their impact is on this year's roster and the roster for the next couple of coming years for these young men. But before we do that and get on into the episode, I've welcomed you, right? Yeah. I've thanked you, right? Yeah. Now's the time that I ask that you look down at the bottom of your screen right now and see if you're subscribed to the channel. Because if you're not subscribed and you like my content, please, you don't understand how much it excites me every day to see we got a new subscriber. So just drop a subscription down at the bottom right now. Once we hit 100 subscribers, we're going to be doing a large giveaway of a ton of different merchandise from our sponsors over at Danklyfe brand. But before we do any of that, we need your help. So like I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifications bell so you get notified when we're talking about your favorite team, and you're notified when we start coming out with the different content. The fantasy football huddle, the high roller huddle. We got lots of big stuff coming for you this year, so notify yourself about when that comes out. And if you like my content, please give the boy a thumbs up. You don't understand how much that helps out. Now, with all that out the way, it's time to extend the invite. The invite that, if you don't know what it is by this point, then let me explain it to you. If you do not, there's no peer pressure if you do. If you don't, but if you do, now's the time that I invite you to smoke them if you got them. Let's fill up our cups, roll something ups, and get right into the news, baby. Honestly, I think the Steelers really hit a home run in this year's draft. Not just drafting talent to their roster, but they also drafted people that I think the fans are easily going to be able to fall in love with. Their first pick in the draft that they had is going to be Broderick Jones, the offensive lineman from Georgia. He was the highest valued offensive lineman coming out of the draft, the most highly touted prospect on the offensive line coming out of this draft. And he was a year one starter. So a lot of scouts believe that his best football is still in front of them. There's a ton of growth available for this large man's ceiling. So he's going to need a ton of space to grow. He's kind of the size of a guard. He's not as tall as you would like for a tackle to be, but he is a dominant offensive lineman and really good at the tackle position. He has incredible ability to get to the second level. He's a very athletic tackle, gets used in the pulling game, and a lot of teams will like to put him at that tackle position because that's where he plays the best. And even without being 6'8", you're going to be looking at getting an absolutely technically sound and very technically able defensive lineman when you're getting Broderick Jones. He's definitely going to be a day one starter for this offensive line, and I'm excited to see what Broderick Jones has in store for the Pittsburgh Steelers and protecting Kenny Pickett. Their next pick in the draft is going to be what I think is the fan favorite, Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. And fans may recognize the Joey Porter name because his dad not only played in the NFL, his dad also played for the same Pittsburgh Steelers and had an incredible career with them. But he's not only going to be a fan favorite because his dad was a Pittsburgh Steeler, but he is going to be a favorite because Joey Porter Jr. is going to keep the Porter name in black and yellow, something to be feared for the next few years to come. First things first, it's hard, of course, to look at this young man and not see that he has absolutely great length, and he uses it to his ability, especially at the line of scrimmage. This man is an absolute disruptive force when it comes to the line of scrimmage and in the run game. He plays with absolute great technique, and more than anything, he has that dog in him, which you absolutely love to see, and it's exactly the same exact culture that the Pittsburgh Steelers love to breed over and over and over. He's a talented up-and-coming cornerback, and I think Joey Porter Jr. is going to vault into a fan favorite position for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Before we start moving on into the rest of the picks for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to our sponsor, Danklyfe brand. Danklyfe brand is the ones responsible for a lot of for all of the THC merchandise that we have, like our hot new THC Sports shirts, the THC Sports tumblers that we have, and a lot of the things that we're going to be giving away once we hit 100 subscribers, like our Black Mamba, or like the team we're talking about right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you can get this for an actual steal, and it doesn't have to be a 5-finger discount. You get it for free. All you have to do, comment on the video, let me know you're a Steelers fan. That will get you an entry into the Steelers Tumbler raffle. In order to get into all of the other raffles, let me know if you are subscribed. By subscribing to the channel, look down at the bottom right now and subscribe if you haven't, and that will get you 2 times entries into each and every one of the giveaways that we do. If you're following us on Facebook, that's an entry. If you're following us on Twitter, that's an entry. And all of those are going to be at the same handle at the Huddle Chat. So if you follow us on Facebook, if you follow us on Twitter, if you're subscribed to the channel, that will be 4 entries into each and every one of the giveaways that we do. And if you comment on this video right now, let me know that you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. That'll be an extra entry to the Steelers Tumbler raffle. Get you some free gear before football season starts, before any season starts, whether it's a youth football organization, a chess club, an esports organization, whatever you're doing, even if you're just supporting your favorite franchise, do it in the way that you like to do it, and make sure you get something that nobody else out in the world is going to be able to get their hands on. Moving on in the Pittsburgh Steelers draft, we're going to be talking about Darnell Washington, who they got their hands on late in the draft. This man, first of all, is huge. He's 6'7", 270 pounds. And I think this man can follow a similar career path to Jason Peters. And you might be confused in the fact that Darnell Washington is a tight end and Jason Peters is a left tackle. But Jason Peters, you may or may not remember, came out of the NFL draft as a tight end. He added 35 pounds and became the highest paid left tackle in the game. I definitely think that this is something that Darnell Washington could do. He's a great blocker in the blocking game, but he's not very spectacular as a receiver. He reminds me kind of what the Packers have in Marcedes Lewis. He like I said, he can totally stay as a tight end and have a similar career to Marcedes Lewis, but Jason Peters is making more money than Marcedes Lewis for a reason. He should take that size and that blocking ability he already has and add 35 pounds and become a left tackle. I think Darnell Washington it was a great pick, and depending on the route that he takes, could be the biggest steal of the draft for this team. But moving into who I think might be their best pick of the draft is going to be Keanu Benton, the nose guard they got from Wisconsin. He's a big body, wide body, hole plugger. I mean, it's exactly what you want in your nose guard, in your Vince Wilfork of the defense. He does need to work on staying disciplined and staying square. Sometimes he does have that ability to get turned sideways, which you don't want out of your nose guard. So if he can stay square, he always does stop those run blockers at the point of attack. So he just has to work on his discipline. And I think that Keanu Benton really can become an amazing pass rusher, and a little bit of improvement on his handwork and his technique could really ensure that this man becomes a long-time starter after his first few years. Moving on into the last couple of picks that the Pittsburgh Steelers did have, we're going to talk about Nick Herbig from Wisconsin. He's a linebacker slash edge. He's really of a tweener because he's undersized. So you don't want him playing on the defensive end, but he does play a little stiff in coverage when it comes to playing in linebacker. He's a great pass rusher, and he's explosive off of the snap. But he's not as instinctive as you would like your linebacker to be. I think he will serve best as a role player in the early portions of his career, but eventually moving into a starting position and a stacked position, like I said, kind of in that tweener as he gets better in the linebacker portion, the coverage portion of linebacking. He definitely can help this team out in the years to come. With all of that being said, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers had a pretty good draft. They didn't really, I don't think, miss the mark on many of their picks, and a lot of their picks will take some growing. With the fact that I don't think outside of their first two picks that they're going to have a ton of instant impact on the roster, I'm going to give the Pittsburgh Steelers a nice, solid B for their draft this year. I think these young men are going to grow into really essential parts of this team, but a lot of them are going to take a little bit of growing. That's going to be it for the Pittsburgh Steelers today, y'all. Like I said, we're going through all 32 NFL squads right now. We're just about finished with the AFC North. We're going to be moving on to the NFC North. So make sure you turn on that notifications bell because we're moving through all 32 teams, their drafts, and then we're going to start discussing their off seasons before we get into the fantasy football huddle, which I cannot wait for, y'all. I'm extremely excited to bring y'all to fantasy football and a lot of the other new things that we're doing here on the Huddle Chat Sports Show and Network. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning into today's episode, and make sure you're always keeping your chin up and your attitude down. I'll see you next time that I'm around. Y'all have a good one, baby. I'm out of here.
Bye.